everyone. Thank you for joining us today at the webcast. Today's topic, we'll be talking about the Adobe Customization Wizard. If you have questions throughout the webcast, you can ask them anytime via the chat window, or you can email them to webcast@adminarsenal.com. If we use your question, we'll be sending you some swag. Now we'll turn it over to Shane and Lex.
Hey everybody, I'm Shane.
School, and I'm Lex.
Okay, we got some questions right out the gate, I guess.
Right out the gate, yeah.
So let's, why don't you jump on that one?
So we're going to be going over the Adobe Customization Wizard. Question number 1, many of Adobe's products are moving to the cloud, Creative Cloud. Will this affect the Adobe Customization Wizard in the future? Jason A.
That's probably a question more for Adobe. I would gather at some point, if they're trying to move all of their offerings up to the cloud, then yes, it would.
Yeah.
But at this point, the Reader and the Acrobats, they haven't moved yet, and probably a little ways out.
Yeah.
But yes, I would assume that at some point, if they're going to have complete cloud offerings, that it would
Definitely.
drastically change the deployment of their products. So I would say yes, but that's just an educated guess on my part.
Yeah, definitely check in with Adobe on that. We stay up to date with Adobe also, so.
Yeah, do we have is there another one in the pipeline? All right. And by the way, I guess it's right here. Will PDQ be able to include the Adobe Acrobat in the future in the package library? That's a good question, Jason. People have asked this actually, quite a bit. The fact of the matter is, well, go ahead.
It's a paid-for product, and we can't put it out there assuming everybody's paid for it. So
That's correct.
You can, though, build your own package to deploy that.
We have been asked, and we can get with Adobe on this, I suppose, but how about just deploying the patches so that you don't deploy the actual? We've gone kind of back and forth on that. There's no decision that's been made yet. We just want to make sure that the distribution agreements and everything are in place. So at this point, as Lex said, it's very easy to build your own. And remember, one of the cool things about the package library, in as much as you get pre-built applications and all the goodies there, it's also an amazing cheat sheet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can look and see how all these different applications are silently installed.
How they're built and mimic.
And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't take much. You just look at the Reader, at some of the Reader packages, and you'll be able to nail down the Acrobat. And of course, what we're going to do today, which is show you how to build your own customization using Adobe's Customization Wizard. We do have a blog entry recently. If you might want to Google that on our blog, but it's using the Adobe Customization Wizard 11. We're not going to go through all of these steps here. We're going to kind of pick up at some point. Pardon me. We're going to pick up at some point where this left off. But once you download the exe, and it needs to be the offline exe, not the 1 megabyte.
Yeah, not the web install.
Once you download that, or you get it from your CD or whatever media you have, you're going to have to run some of these commands in order to extract the MSI. So you can see I just did a quick, we've got one here in our history where we ran the exe that was downloaded, and then we simply used these same parameters that you see on the blog to extract the MSI and put it into our temp folder. So that's where we're going to pick up from here. We also got the Adobe Customization Wizard installed, and that's a free download from Adobe. So once you open this up and take a drink of Monster, sorry about that.
It's a good morning for that, isn't it?
Yeah. You're going to have to have extracted the MSI before you can do this, but it's basically saying, okay, where is this package? Where does this exist? And actually, we've got it in our temp directory, as I mentioned, but let's move that out. I don't want to build let's just move, I'm going to move Reader right over here.
Onto the desktop?
Yeah, let's just do that.
Make life a little easier to reference anyways.
Agreed. So we're going to go back to the Customization Wizard. Go to the desktop, we'll see Reader. And it's looking for the Acro Read MSI file. Perfect. Now this will also work with Acrobat. We're doing Reader here, but this will work with Acrobat if you have, obviously, the licensed version of Acrobat. I'm going to assume that you do. All right, so the personalization options. If you have Acrobat, these won't be grayed out. This is where you could put down the username, the organization, and very important, the valid serial number.
Yeah.
Something that's, by no means trivial when you're talking about Acrobat. But in this case, for Reader, they're grayed out. We're going to keep the default installation path.
It's always best to keep that default. Just it's where the package and the vendor wants to put it. So.
Yep. Hey, Lex, how important is this one?
Well, only if you want it to work. I would definitely suppress the display of the end user license. Otherwise, it's going to display it to no one and sit and wait for it till your timeout hits.
Yeah, it's always good to suppress, any windows when you're talking about a silent install. Anyway, we're going to just go ahead and click that. Now, when you do that, you are on behalf of your organization. You are accepting the end user license agreement. Just a heads up. All right, now we're not going to customize every single little bit here. We're just going to do a quick flyover. But this is where you can add files and folders, custom files and folders if you want for your organization that you want on everybody's machine when it comes to Adobe. You can make registry modifications. Shortcuts. If you don't, a lot of folks have said, I really don't want a shortcut.
On the desktop.
On the desktop, yeah. So, you can just seriously remove that by doing this right here. Just say, I want it in programs, I don't want it on the desktop, or vice versa. Let's see, security. This is kind of an important one, especially in the last year or so. I think a lot of people
tends to be important. Security always is.
So the protected view, generally, people usually will say at least, protect files from potentially unsafe locations. That's probably the minimum that you want. But once again, it's up to you. And you have some enhanced security settings that you can use both in the standalone app and in the browser, and basically the browser plugins. We'll keep that at the default. I'm not going to modify the digital signatures, yada yada. Come through here. Just take a little tiptoe through the tulips and see what modifications.
Yeah.
There you go. Once you're done with this.
So again, these are just the basics to make sure you can actually get this customization done so that you can do the silent install.
Yeah, that really is. It really is kind of what we're shooting for. Now let's go ahead and generate a transform.
Shane, what's a transform?
A transform file is it's a file that's used to modify an MSI. Since we've got the Adobe Acrobat, in this case the Adobe Reader MSI file, we don't actually want to change the MSI. We want to change we want to make some changes that we will apply to that MSI, and that's where the MST file comes in. It's called a transform. We'll show you that in a moment. Yes, we'll replace that transform, and we should be good to go. We're going to close this up. If we come into the Reader, you'll see the Adobe or the Acro Read MST. All right. All right. So now this is ready to go. This should be ready to rock and roll. We are going to actually put this into
build a package.
Yeah, or something like that.
Hey man, have another drink, a little more caffeine, get you going today.
Okay, we're going to open up PDQ deploy. Once again, if you guys have any questions during the presentation, just by all means
put them in the chat window.
Okay.
Or comments for that matter, yeah. We have a comment. Adobe has a Creative Cloud packager that will create packages for you. I've used those packages with PDQ Deploy.
Yeah, that's MVCS, Sean. Hey, thank you very much. We probably ought
That's great.
check that out.
We will check that out.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you very much. All right, so let's go ahead and build an Acrobat, or I'm sorry, an Adobe Reader.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and build an Adobe Reader package. We're gonna within PDQ Deploy. I'm gonna come to our custom packages. This part is up to you. You can put this wherever you want. We're gonna click on the new package. All right, we'll call this Adobe Reader. And now, what are we going to go? Usually, we do this out of the repository, but today we're just going to go off the desktop.
Yep.
All right. but generally it's a good idea to place this up in your repository folder. So we're going to choose
The Acro Read MSI.
Now, we just went through all that effort to create an MST file, right? So this is what you want, the property, the parameter property that you want to place when you create a transform file. It's called, you just type in transforms equals and the name of the transform file. Now, you would put the path in here if the path was different from where this actually existed.
Again, that path would need to be a UNC path.
Actually, the transforms, it should be, you should be able to do relative. So that's the dot backslash means it's in the current directory. I believe it's just acroread.mst.
And before we move on, we need to include that file.
There it is, acroread.mst. That's a very good call. So we're going to call this, but notice we're running the MSI, it's 2 megabytes, but we don't have anything else in here. I'm just going to go ahead and say I want the entire directory in this case.
And with that, it's going to grab everything from our desktop reader folder and any subfolder of that. So our MST file is going to go with that.
Yeah. You know, and this dot backslash may not even be necessary since it's in that directory. But anyway, we'll call this step install Adobe Reader. Now we're just going to do the one step at this point. We're going to come back and revisit this. All right.
So we're going to deploy this once. Where are we going to send it?
Let's send it out to Mackie.
Sounds good. Now, Mackie, again, is a machine. It's not a user.
Yeah, let's make sure. We've got some. Let's make sure Mackie doesn't have it. We're actually going to go to PDQ inventory here and look in a collection that shows which machines have Adobe Acrobat and Adobe Reader. Let's go to PDF apps, readers. We're going to be looking at not installed for Adobe Reader 11. Yeah, Mackie doesn't have it. Perfect.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we'll just try that one right there. And we'll hit deploy and see if this thing dies.
Did you put something in your drink this morning?
No, I need to. There's not even enough caffeine in this thing.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so again, it's connecting to Mackie. And once we've got the connection made, it's going to start walking through the steps.
There we go. Pushing it out, baby. Now, if as Lex had mentioned, you know, we had to include those files, the MST file and stuff. We had to include that into our package. If not, this thing either would have just died, like right here. Let's see, we got a fail. 1603. Boy,
Nice.
don't you love that action?
1603, an MSI error.
Let's check. I'm gonna. By the way, this is a good thing right here.
Very good example of how to check this out, fix it.
We're gonna look at that output log. You see this? This is our guy right here. Gonna scroll on down. If you're ever working with us, by the way, or a vendor, you know, like if you're working with Adobe, saying, "Hey, this is not installing."
Very helpful to send us this file.
Looks like we've got an error in the path. That may have not liked that.
//
Let's try this without it.
So we're going to go modify our package.
And we'll see.
And since it's in the folder where the MSI is in, we'll just call it directly.
Once again, I do want to make sure that that is the Acro Read MST. Yeah.
Spelling? What? Is that important?
And you know what? Let's just quickly. We're going to quickly just take a quick gander here. I want to open this up. You know what? On the installation options, let's see. I want to make sure one thing. I think we really messed up on this one.
I say,
Just jumping through too fast, you guys. So one thing we got to do. Sorry about this. I'm going to load this transform file that we had created, Acro Read. I'm going to go back to installation options. Yeah, we are going to keep this one. We're going to remove all all previous versions.
There it is. Run silently.
Definitely want to run silently. Now, I think that honestly, I didn't have to have that path, that relative path in there, but this is a big one, and we're going to suppress the reboot.
Yeah.
You may not want to. You may want to reboot without a prompt. It's kind of up to you, but yeah.
Score one for Shane.
Cheers. Practice.
Practice, yes. Well, this is how we figure this stuff out. A couple errors before we get it figured out.
Yeah, right. And we're going to go ahead and keep this. I think that we don't need to have that.
The dot slash in there.
Yeah, the relative path in there.
Okay. Launch that one again.
People are getting to see, hey, here's how you can redeploy. You just right-click on that failed target.
Send it again.
And if it fails, we're going to go ahead and change this to deploying Microsoft Office webcast.
Should I give you odds on this? You think you got it this time?
I don't know. It's in the morning for me. I don't care.
You said you did need something. Did you have coffee before you got here?
No, dude, I didn't, man. I was up too late. Anyway, there we go.
There it is.
It was successful. I think it was the error was the path, because you saw that we couldn't find a few things. But even had it not gotten to that point, it had found it would have had a problem because it was trying to run interactively.
It would have
Because I'm a
timed out.
moron.
It would have timed out.
All right, so now we do have PDQ inventory. Should be scanning
Mackie right now.
Mackie right now, but notice it's in the old one. What's going on here? Mackie has version 11, but not 11 update 10. So this is a really old version of Adobe Reader. So there's a couple of ways you can handle this. I like to do this within PDQ deploy, and it's just simply coming into Adobe Reader, and we're going to create a new step, and it's going to be an install step, and this one is going to be apply update 10. Going to come back over here, select Adobe Reader 1110. Notice that's an MSP file, which stands for a patch. And it's in that same directory. We'll say OK. We don't need to include the entire directory in this case.
Just the file itself.
And we don't need any additional parameters on this one, I believe. It's just because it's an MSP, we're automatically using the MSI options, quiet and never, to reboot. So we should be good to go. What does this mean? This is what you would do for brand new machines. You would use this to install a machine that had never had Adobe Reader on there, or doesn't have any version of Adobe Reader 11, because it would install Adobe Reader Base, and then it would install the Update 10. All right, and just we'll kick this off on another machine really quick, and then we're gonna update Mackie.
Yep.
All right. And actually, you should be able to do Mackie on this because Adobe's fairly lenient. Like it'll install on top. But I want to show you something else. So we're going to go ahead and do not installed. We'll do Krusty, and yeah, Storm is probably good. Now, I'm going to create a new package here.
Well, that's installing. We'll just create an update package. Yeah?
This is an update package. Update, or pardon me, Adobe Reader 10, or 11, pardon me, Update 10. Now, here's the important thing about Adobe Updates. Adobe Updates are cumulative, for the most part, up to the minor version. So that means Update 10 for 11 will update anything that's 11.0. Once you come out with 11.1, then any of the patches for 11.1 will not patch 11.0. It's cumulative up to the minor version, meaning the second decimal place. So we're going to go to step 1. We're going to just do Adobe 11.10. So that means that this should be able to update anything that's 11.0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, anything up there.
Yep.
The one patches that the one type of patches that are not cumulative, by the way, are security patches for Adobe. So if I think Update 6 was a security patch. That one was not cumulative. That would only patch the previous update, which was 5.
Yep.
So I might be off by 1 or 2 points there, but All right, so so if you tried to install just this to a machine that didn't have 11,
You get an error.
you're gonna get an error saying you're trying to patch a product that doesn't exist. So let's go over to Mackie, since that was the one that was having the problem. And deploy that out.
Looks like our other installs were successful.
Yep, notice now there's 2 steps. There was the first is a reader and then update 10. Looking at Mackie here running. That means if we come over to, inventory, we should start seeing, yep, there's Krusty, there's Storm. Gonna open up Krusty, and sure enough, you'll see Adobe Reader 11 with the update 10 right there, with my mouse in the way. Sorry about that. And then there's Mackie, which is now in this collection.
No current.
Yep, so keep in mind, the Adobe Customization Wizard, once again, it will work not just with Reader, you can use it for Acrobat. There's actually quite a few options that you have available with it. And I'm very interested, by the way, in the comment about the Creative Cloud, using PDQ to deploy some of the Creative Cloud stuff. Yeah, that might be a webcast.
Yeah, could be one
Which
in the
means
future.
there's some more homework that we won't do before the webcast.
I love it. I love it. On the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, hey, I hope this helps some of you guys, and by all means, if you have any requests for future subjects, topics, we're always looking for those. Throw them down. I'm Shane.
And I'm Lex.
You guys have a good one. Talk to you later.
See you.
Everyone, thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions that you didn't get asked today, you can always go to adminarsenal.com and click support. And we'll see you next Thursday.